I am 12, I am 3, I am 1. We're back here with in the Unity Conscious Show. Y'all know how this go. We out here in nature. I got the gods with me. You know what I'm saying? Got my boy Yoga, got my boy Jay. Y'all know him. You know what I'm saying? We out here, man, in nature, Charlotte, North Carolina, right here. You know what I'm saying, man? Come on here and get on the mic, man. Introduce yourself properly. You know, everybody know me. And we'll get the brother in here. Come on in here, brother. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead and introduce yourself today, man. And, you know what I'm saying? We got a little bit of blessings going on, blessing trees, you know, high vibrations today. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Born and raised Charlotte, North Carolina, up and coming artist. So, you know, check me out, J-Bo _ BBE, everything. So, you know, I'm new to this, so I'm still learning.
Let me ask you a question, J-Bo. Don't you got a new single coming out, Meditate? Let's tell us a little bit about that, because that's very metaphysical, that title, Meditate. And tell us about this single, man, and tell it where you get your inspiration from for that title and that song. I heard it. It sounds great. You know what I'm saying? Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, you know, it came to mind because I've been working on myself. You know, my man right here, you know, we all, just my surroundings, and I learned to meditate, keep everything calm. So that's really, you know, learn to keep everything calm, you know, stay out of trouble, really. That helps a lot. So that's pretty much how it came about, you know.
Brother Yoga, go ahead, man. You got many names. Go ahead and break it on down for us and let introduce, you know, the fans and everybody and let them know who you are.
Hotep, peace, love, and blessings to my universal family. My name is Sahaja Yoga Shiva Zen Rael, also known in other circles as a Moon Ra, Nefer, Patton El, so forth and so forth. I am also a recording artist, hip hop as well as R&B. Right now, I'm with my brother. He's a grandmaster as well. You know, brother Jabril. So we just out here just experiencing nature right now. You know, we just simply being. Not trying to do anything, not trying to go nowhere. You know, just to be. And that's the main thing, just to be. Like Zen, we were having a conversation one night, matter of fact, the other night. And I was telling him what Zen is. Zen is to sit. Literally, just to sit. So it's the same thing. You know, it's synonymous with to be or to be present. That's it, nothing more, nothing less. But we about to get into some things.
Man, look, we taking advantage of his energy. I got my neighbor. He's excited. He's seeing what's going on in festivities. We got the yoga mats out here. We in nature, you know what I'm saying? And this is what we got, the flowers in the background. You know, everything is great. This is Memorial Weekend. We hear all the grills. People got the grills going. You know, and then this is a time of love, unity, high vibration. So that's what we doing out here, man. We just on the metaphysics, and we're going to take this conversation somewhere. I don't know where we're going yet, but we're going somewhere very metaphysical. You know, we probably get a little bit of yoga in and show you how we do it, to stay balanced and all these things. So, man, this is great, you know. And I'm going to get the brothers in here, man. We're going to tell us about some of the projects we got going on and everything. And we want to talk about, man, what we going to talk about today, man? What's the subject of choice?
Well, brother, we shouldn't really just have a topic to talk about. Just naturally go with the flow. It's all about the energy at the end of the day. And that's very important for the viewers to understand. It's all about energy. Energy will never lead you wrong. But if you're in tune to the energy, then the conversation, it will flow in a spontaneous direction in the way that it need to be directed. Like, for example, I want you to tell everybody what was your inspiration to strive to get to the level of understanding where you at now.
Man, my inspiration was, I know that in the Quran there's a ayah in the Quran that says that God, Allah, the Most High, the Source, whatever you want to call it, does not bring tragedy upon man except for man to call upon him, or it, or whatever you want to define that as. And for me, it was a tragedy that happened when I was in a car accident. And when I was in a car accident, coming out of that car accident, everything kind of happened in my best interest. Insurance paid for everything. I didn't get hurt. I didn't hurt anybody. Uh, but it left me sitting there thinking like, wow, why was I left here? What is my purpose? What am I supposed to be here to do? So it was like a wake up. It was a jolt. And since that time, I started to seek the answers to those questions. Why am I here? Where am I going? Uh, what's my mission? All these type of questions. And from there, man, it seemed like the seed of the seed of life, the seed of the spirit, started to be doused with water and started to grow, started to take root inside of me. And then this quest to know thyself, was the result. And so from since then, I've been, learning how to quiet my mind, learning how to it all really comes down to me loving myself. And I really come to know that this life is what the lesson that I came here to learn. One of the most important lessons is to learn how to love myself unconditionally, no matter what's going on, no matter all the storm, the complaints, the whatever. Just really learn how to stand still, stand firm, not worry, and stay happy and stay vibrant. And that right there has been the first lesson. And now I'm really starting to understand the second most important lesson that I've come here to learn, and that's consistency. Like really setting good patterns for myself to succeed. Because one thing I notice about myself is that I will start something, and if I don't get immediate results, I'll stop. Not having a discipline to keep going and nurturing those habits until I get the results that I seek. So that's what I'm working on now, having more consistency. So y'all gonna see more videos coming from me, coming from us, because I'm working on that pattern of consistency, of getting things done. This man knows very well that I'm very inconsistent at times because we do music together. And sometimes I might tell him, hey, I'm going to send you this beat. And it might be a few months before he get it. But he going to get it. Procrastination. So, I'm trying to master that. And I'm in the process of mastering that. Let me ask J-Bo a question, because we're going to keep this thing going in the pyramid. And then we're going to let J-Bo ask a yoga question. We're going to keep that pyramid going, because y'all see we in the divine geometry, because that's what we into. I'm going to ask him a question. I'm starting to see one thing that I know about this man right here. He's a great family man. He sets a great example of, being there for his family. I watch him, and I always give him that kind of credit. And I think, we need to acknowledge more men that's out here that's being balanced and handling their responsibilities. So I just want to know, J-Bo, you balancing your career, you balancing your life. What has been the secret to you, being a great father, being a great inspiration to a lot of the young black males out here, as far as, taking care of their family and responsibilities?
Really, short and sweet. I just stay out the way, stay out of trouble, man. I had to cut a lot of things off in order to stay focused, So I come out, handle my business, come right back, So just trying to stay focused. I'm still working on it though. So that's the hardest thing, to stay focused with so many distractions going on. But it's gonna work out.
You got a question for yoga?
Well, how long? Like, what age did you start learning yourself? Like, far as what you into now? Well, you too. 'Cause I I say, I know y'all older than me. Like I said, I'm only a few years in. So I know y'all been way longer.
Wow. That was a great question. Uh, hmm. Well, let me just give you a brief rundown. Like a little, miniature background. Um, Coming up, my mother, she didn't persuade me in any shape, form, or fashion to be no Christian, no Muslim, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So she always allowed me to express my views and not to shoot down my opinions. What I would try to converse with her on certain issues. But now, for as to answer your question directly, my quest for seeking knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, to put a real perspective on it, as I can only do, it'll have to go back many moons ago. Because in order to get to the level where I'm at now, I've had to have multiple, how can I say it? I've had to have multiple experiences in previous lives where I was already on this path. So each time, in that specific time and climb, wherever I was at or wherever my consciousness resided at that particular point, I had to been on a certain level on this particular path, on this particular journey, or I had to have mastered something along the way. But the reason why that I had to keep coming back and mastering these lessons, because I deviated off the course. That's the only way. So I started around the age of, you could say 14. You could say 14, when I really had the knowledge of what the Black Panther Party was putting out there. That's when I really became conscientious of the fact that, okay, you know what? I understand the politics now. That's when I also first learned about politics. inner city politics, excuse me, and how they work. And I started studying a lot of work by Mumia Abu Jamal. He had I guess major in journalism, and he joined the Black Panther Party in New York. He's from Philadelphia, but in New York, when he moved to New York, he was 16 years old, and he joined the Black Panther Party when he was 16. So he's very, conscientious, a very strong activist. He got framed for murder of the murdering of an officer who was jumping on this guy when he was in his cab driving. He also had a part-time job as a cab driver. He was a DJ, freelance journalist, very powerful. Also a Black Panther member, but then he left the Black Panther member and joined the Move movement. With Ramona Africa and John Africa. It's a very deep, powerful spiritual movement, and their teachings is nature-based. So on some level, those teachings was resonating within my core essence, and that would kind of, that energy, that vibration was vibrating me towards what I'm practicing now. But I still had to go through various stages. Like at one particular time, I was a Muslim. I prayed 5 times a day, promptly. Would not miss one. I don't care what I was doing, watching TV or whatever time it was, in the particular quarters of the day, right? I had to go do it, but so I had to elevate through that. I got out of this certain religious bubble. Never been a Christian, but I've been around it all my life. Grandmother was a serious Bible thumper. I'm talking about church Monday through Sunday. I don't know how she done it, but she did it. But at the end of the day, what she taught me was very keen. It was great, and it was very informative. But even at a younger age, I always had the mindset that if you telling me that a person look like this and like this, and but if they from a geological area of the universe where 99% of the time the sun is out. You're gonna be dark. But yeah, I was at the age of 16 when I first started my quest on my journey. But I've been practicing what I'm practicing now, what some people call Kemetic science, for like 20 years. So I've been practicing what I'm practicing now for like over 20 years. Mm-hmm.
39, probably looking when I was like 24. There was just so many questions I had.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was like 24. Well, there was so many questions I had about the religion, a whole bunch of things going on. Like, how could if everybody under the same umbrella, how could he allow something like this to happen to this person and something good to happen to this? Just a lot of stuff ain't make sense. So I broke through that bubble. Now I just been open minded, trying to find, the right thing. Just the common sense thing. So
Yeah, when you said that, is that just brought to mind that when we really break through the shell and the bubble of the illusion of this life, we're really going to come to find out that you are the true architect of your life. There's a higher version of you that is written this whole strip for you, because you are your higher self, and you have even higher levels of the higher self till you get all the way back to the source of all that is. You're a multi-layered being. Your consciousness, your energy. You're tapped into all that is. There's a grid all around us, an invisible grid that everything is connected to. And so the deeper and deeper that we go inside of ourselves, we empower ourselves. The more and more that we look outside of ourselves for the answers, the more and more we look outside of ourselves for knowledge, the more and more we look outside of ourselves for God, the more and more we get lost. The more and more we fall asleep in our own dream. So, the further we go, that's all we're going to find out. The illusion is that you are it. Everything that you've been looking for and striving for is you. And the more that we get into this concept, the more that we let go of the old 3D paradigms of the victim, the 3D paradigms of, oh, woe is me, the 3D paradigm that is them that's causing all this trouble, oh, woe is me, God is punishing us, and why not he punishing us, and why not them, until we get out of all of that and really understand that everything around us is a video screen. This is the widest widescreen you'll ever get. It's called them two eyes. And everything you see is a play going on. And it's a play that you have written for yourself to teach your own self soul lessons. And when this life supposedly ends, you just wake up into a real life, a more realer life, to where you're going to get to play back all the things that you've done, all the people you hurt, and all the lessons that you may not, the ones that you got victory over and ones that you have not. And then if you so choose, you're going to jump right back into another one of these games, another one of these plays, and you're going to do it all over again. Because what else do gods do? That's what we do.
I really got to get up out of here, man. It was nice talking, man. Look, we got to do this again. I say I'm J-Bo.
Man, thanks for coming out, bro, man. Hanging out with us for a little bit. I know the brother got to go. He's like I say, he's an inspiring artist, man. Check out his music. Before you go, man, he's hot too. He spit some real bars. I love his music. Before you go, man, tell the people where they can reach you at. Tell the people, where they can hear your music. You know what I'm saying? This brother got some real positive stuff he talking about, and he got some other stuff he be talking about too. And everybody, you know what I'm saying? So, check him out. You can relate. You can vibe with the brother. I like to listen to his music, but just go ahead and tell them how they can reach you.
Yeah, YouTube, got videos on YouTube at I Feel Like J-Bo. Exactly how I said. That's what it at. I Feel Like J-Bo. All social media, Facebook, Instagram, at I Feel Like J-Bo. You can find me. I got my single Turnaround streaming, all platforms. Go get that at I Feel Like J-Bo. So that's what it is. But we coming up though.
Facts. And I got a little bit of music on there with him. So, support the brothers. You know what I'm saying? Thanks for coming out, bro. You know, and we're gonna do this again real soon. And me and the guy, we're gonna keep this thing going because man, I'm really feeling this vibration. I'm feeling this energy. You know, we out here, we got the yoga mats. Before it's all over, I'm gonna get it in a little bit. You know, cause right now we've been going through an ascension. For those who've been paying attention, just notice how Mother Gaia, Mother Earth has been changing. You know, the pole shift is serious, is real. You know, and we are going through it. You can tell that summer is seeming to, well, spring seemed to come in a lot later than normal. It was still very cold. Now it's, you know, it feels like Charlotte weather down here now. But before it was feeling almost like Virginia weather, you know, Maryland weather. You know, so we see that Gaia, man, that a lot of beings have beat the mother up, and she tired of it, and she's on her way to ascend to a higher dimensional being, to her fifth and sixth dimensional self. And this 3D, old 3D paradigm is over. It's on its way out. The Piscean age is on its way out. The Aquarian age, the water barrier is here. All things that need to be known will be known. And so we see that the melanated being is waking up. We see that all beings are waking up. You know what I'm saying? We see that people ain't talking the same. And people tired of a lot of the things that's going on. So they tired of this illusion. They tired of this script. And they ready for a new construct. You see? So now is the time for us to start to purify ourselves, start to get out here and stop beating ourselves up. You know what I mean? Loving ourselves, you know, accepting these bodies, these earth vehicles, you know, accepting the things that you have manifested for yourself, because they just learning lessons. You know what I'm saying? They just learning lessons. That's all they are. And so that's what we out here doing, man. You know, this new earth that's coming into play right now, you know, how do you see yourself, you know, evolving into this new paradigm, this new time shift, this new Aquarian age? How do you see that, you know, it's affecting you spiritually, mentally, physically, and some of the techniques that you're using to enhance yourself, you know, through this time?
This brother trying to hit me with the heat. But it's a beautiful thing, though. You know, we do this. You feel me?
Man, let's take a seat down, man.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You heard the bell. Naturally. Now this is more like it. Well, the natural order thing can only work in the very manner that it can only work in. And what I mean by that is the way this new earth is nowadays, with the type of energy that's being emitted from mass majority of the beings out there that is negative in nature, is causing all these, you know, crazy weather changes. Now, a lot of it is due to the government too, but that's another thing. But at the end of the day, when you're dealing with the higher consciousness, when you're dealing with high science, you know, supreme mathematics, you know, when you was in tune with your very core essence, when you understand where you come from, who your ancestors are. So the knowledge that have been invested in me, or that's imbued within me, with the guidelines that our ancient forebears have inscribed on the walls of the pyramid. And that's very high science, very high knowledge. So according to that, which is natural in essence, by being a supreme practitioner of ancient Egyptian yoga, meaning Kemetic Yoga, you know, everything involved with all the teachings that our ancestors had left for us to follow. And these teachings will allow you to evolve and adapt to every time and client naturally. And the reason why that I said it that way, because once you have reached the level of high vibrations, meaning once your mind frequency vibrates on a higher thought vibration, once you really are in tune with the energy of the universe, your heartbeat and the heartbeat of the universe is in sync with each other. Like when you was in a setting, like a meditation setting. Like before me and this brother start off, either him or I, we can start off with like a little mantra or a chant. And you would notice that once the mantra and the chant be picked up, everything would be in unison. That means our energy is vibrating on the same harmony, on the same frequency, on the same tone, on the same note. Like right now, the birds chirping. It's a beautiful thing. The wind blowing. You get what I'm saying? Elements at nature is working the way it's supposed to work. That means everything is in harmony with each other. So in that perspective right there, and in that context that I just put that in, is that it doesn't really affect me because I don't let it affect me. Only thing I can do is continue to do what I'm doing now, and that way I will always be at peace, and I will always be in that still state that one should be in his or her lifetime. Doesn't matter which age that we coming into or making the transition out of. But now, however, on the energetic level, making that transition or that journey from one age to another age, diaspora, you making it, so the energy does shift. It does shift because everything, even the positioning of what appears to be the sun moving over here, moving over there, we know the sun don't really move. It's actually a planet. It have beings on that planet. But we know that on the energetic level, dealing with, magnetic attraction, polar opposites, whatever the case may be, right? So it's like once you had that understanding, everything around you, you know that it is you. But for the vibration, the vibratory frequency of all the energy that's in the universe, it can affect you if you allow it, but it doesn't necessarily have to affect you, because the very key essential thing is to be mindful of the energy that you putting out there into the atmosphere from your core essence. Because if the energy that you emitting from your core essence, anybody, be it negative or positive, but if it's negative, everything that's vibrating on that same thought frequency in the universe, it would be reciprocated back towards you. So now you just emitted just a small portion, just a tiny iota of negative energy from your being went into that atmosphere. And everything that is vibrating on that same wavelength, you done attracted that towards yourself. Now what has happened is the universe, naturally, the natural order of the universe, when you have put your energy out there with the other energy that's vibrating on that same thought frequency, whatever it was at that particular time, the universe will create a cause and a condition for the circumstance for you to be in the more negative situation physically in your daily life. So it appear to be that nothing is going right for you. And then, vice versa. If you put that positive energy out there, then everything vibrating on that same frequency and wavelength of positive energy, it will be reciprocated back towards you. That's the laws of reciprocity too, by the way. So matter of fact, you got a couple laws in there: cause or effect, laws of reciprocity, give and take. But at the end of the day, that positive energy that one put out there, it would be reciprocated, and the universe will cause and create a circumstance and a condition for you to be able to move forward in a prosperous manner and constantly evolve in your spiritual practices or whatever it is that you're doing, even in a mundane sense. You might be rewarded more opportunities to elevate in your job. You might get more contracts. Whatever that a person is doing at a particular time. You might have a farm. You might be a farmer, and you grow crops, good crops, without all these pesticides on it. Without these GMOs and all that. Genetically modified organisms, but it's coming strictly from the earth because you adhere to the laws of nature and you let things occur naturally how they're supposed to be. You just created the circumstance and condition in a positive manner for Gaia to does what she naturally does, produce life that is good for you. So in that sense, one has to put it in the proper perspective. and then just let nature do what nature does and just simply be. Especially when you have that supreme understanding of what things is. So it's just like I tell anybody that I see things for what, not for what I want them to be, but for what they are. So like, prime example, something is wrong with my car. Initially, yeah, you can someone get mad, but then once you put things in proper perspective, okay, well, it's a car. It was man-made. So anything that is man-made is subject to fail at some point. So at the end of the day, it's kind of like, all right, now I know these precepts. These precepts is not man-made or woman-made, contrary to popular belief, because these precepts, they did not come from beings that look that look like us. This knowledge and understanding come from those who are from these certain star constellations, who we are made in the image of, not their biblical story. So it's all about knowing. Any master will tell you, anybody who has a neophyte who's really in tune into those deep teachings of our ancient forebears, our forefathers and foremothers, or grandmothers, as I like to say, you just have to see it for what it is. I don't want to get too deep into this, too deep into that.
You said a lot of good stuff. I resonate with a lot. What really caught my attention when you started talking about energy. I was watching Matt Techai a little earlier, and he was talking about energy and the chi, the yin and the yang, and I was watching a little bit about Dynamo Jack. If anybody ever studied and watched about him, he could actually, unite and bring energy from his lower chakra, from his solar plex, and make them meet. And he was able to bring electricity through his hand. He could actually set paper on fire through his hands. And Matt Techai, who talks a lot about, he has a book, The Orgasmic Man. He talks about a lot about the power and energy of the sexual energy and your organs, as far as sending love and light, from your heart to your other organs and warming them up and keeping them warm, and talking about the flow of energy through the spine and everything. And I noticed, I was feeling a little blockage of energy and feeling tight because I hadn't did yoga in a minute. And I had been fasting and some other things, and I kind of got, out of my practice. And so I was really tight. And just from just bending over a little bit right there and stretching out, and loosening up that spine, and doing a little breathing, just sitting here this little short time, man, my energy level just shot up. So that's to show, anybody that, when you tired a little bit, come on out here in nature and sit out here in the grass with Gaia and let her charge you up. Let the ions, the natural oxygen ions, the electrons that's in the atoms that you breathe, let them charge you back up. You know what I mean? Loosen that spine. That's one thing that our ancestors, was really on, was yoga. And that's why I wanted to come out here. And I'm with the man whose name is Yoga. So, he has a lot of, studied a lot of different styles of yoga, and have been able to really practice for years, moving energy through his body. And a lot of times, I know me emotionally, I come, the more understanding that I got, I really started to understand that certain pains and aches and things in my back, my knees, and my whole body was coming from emotional blockages, was coming from past life blockages, was coming from, built up anger and pain from past events. And, I came to understand that the more present that I became, and standing right here in the moment and now, and being still for right here and now, not dipping off in the present and I mean in the future, and not going back in the past, those being able to stay present has helped me to heal a lot. And I notice the more that I do yoga, the more that I meditate and close my eyes, the more those past life traumas, heal. If you talk to all the great people, the ones who was able to levitate, you know, able to come out of their bodies, come out their bodies, bringing the spirit out the body. All these things was done through meditation. It was meditation and yoga. Don't forget that. It wasn't just meditation. The meditation and the yoga, the stretching, as the body stretched, the mind stretched. There's the mind stretch, the imagination stretch. Because the more that we sit there and we close our eyes from this, what we think is reality, and focus our minds and our abilities inward, the more we develop inwardly, the more that we strengthen, our abilities to stretch time and matter, and defy the rules of this dimension, attract the things that we want to attract, manifest the things that we want to manifest. And it's through the quieting of the mind. It's really getting away from the thinking. So really, I found that everything that was really associated with the mind and thinking was the holdup. Is the blockage. You know what I mean? And so as I get more of my heart space, the feeling, that's associated with the heart and the gut, the more the breathing, the more I learn how to stretch and be able to stretch and stay comfortable and block out all of this physical things, the more the life get easier for me.
And that's just it. It's just like prime example of a person being on that level of supreme understanding, but also knowing who they are in their natural essence. Like, a question had been posed to me a lot. Like, even though this is what a person would say to me, right? They would say something like, well, yeah, you very deep in this and then the third, you practice yoga and all this, but you smoke cigarettes. Now, if a person ever went to another country or whatnot, or they study anything about any spiritual master, done seen videos and things of this nature, even in certain flicks, you would come to understand that a lot of these sages, they smoked the tobacco products. Believe it or not, because they know and understand that smoke couldn't never really affect them anyway. Because once you on that high level understanding, okay, yeah, even though I know I'm smoking this cigarette, but at the end of the day, I know who I am innately. So it really doesn't affect me in that level that people would think. So, yeah. So at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what nobody think at the end of the day. I know who I am. I know how to activate that second, that key, that kundalini. Whatever term you want to use, I know how to make it arise. Trust me. I've done it many, many times. And anything that is wrong with me, I can just completely eradicate it from my system altogether. Like, I haven't been sick in over 25 plus some years, meaning a cold or anything like that. Trust me. And a lot of it has to do with diet too. I must be honest. But at the end of the day, though, it's all about the effort and remaining steadfast in whatever practices that you're trying to partake in. You has to be constant. It has to be constancy in what you're trying to do. Meaning you got to be very, very, very consistent. Because if you is not consistent in what you're trying to partake in, that is on a dynamic scope, something like yoga, any type of master philosophy, right, that is going to bring you to the realization that you are the very thing that some of these people out here in this universe say they're sitting on that throne out there. We know that's mythology at its best in the true sense. Them are really fairy tales and fables. That is a certain. Because one thing for sure, I've never really been a person that can be fooled. You know, you can't tell me that my brother got on. I know my brother got on burgundy pants. You know, perfect attire for doing yoga. And yet you told me you just saw him 5 minutes ago and he had on yellow pants. No, you can't tell me it's raining when the sun is out. So I was one of those individuals. But at the same time, I went through a process in my spiritual strive and journey in order to get to where I'm at. You know, so I have been into Rastafarian practices. I've been into Wiccan practices. I've been into Vadun, or what people call Vadu practices. I've been into the Yoruba practices. I've studied many things. Kemetic science, Hinduism, you know, they mystical system and philosophy. And I studied these things for years. You know, I was in the Islamic community for some years. I know they like to pray 5 times a day to something that don't even exist in the general sense that people think it exists in. So I kind of elevated my consciousness, meaning I broke myself out of that religious bubble. And that's exactly what it is, you know. So once I got myself out of that mold, per se, all together with the supreme understanding that I am that very thing, that I am the all, that I am the seen and the unseen, that I am nothing and something at the same time. You know, that is a very supreme understanding that I have, and I know this to be true. Because through my meditation, you know, I asked to travel. In some particular philosophies, they say spirit walking, whatever the case may be. So I've been to other places. I've seen other things. I've had the privilege and the honor to actually speak to some of the high beings or the high gods that we come to learn them in the form of mythology in, or some of their descendants or some of the race of their people, some of these planets. But I have talked to high priests in other star constellations, and they have revealed to me a lot of things. And this is very true, promise you, because this is coming from a person who, where I come from what they so-called the ghetto, one of the rough neighborhoods. I've also done time, you know, I've been incarcerated. So I bring this up just to show y'all how very real this situation is right here. I don't profess to be any yoga master on paper. I don't profess to be any this or that. But one thing that I can tell you that I am is I was a very avid student in a study of self, or the knowledge of self. So the knowledge of self contains within it the science of nature, how the laws of nature work, how the inner and outer workings of everything work. You have an inner working of your body. If we want to go to a mundane level, that's the brother getting it in over here. Very serious. But, you know, we can go to a biological level, you know, any kind of level you want to go to. We can talk about our very molecular structure, you know, physiological makeup, neurological makeup, you know, the inners and workings of the something just flew on me. Gotta swipe them away. But you know, the firing of the synapses and all that right there, right? How to generate that energy within our body, that's heat, you know. And our ancient forebears have told us that we have a very direct link, diabolical link to the energy, to the sun itself. That is very powerful. So we already know that we are energy beings. That's why it's very essential and very important to partake in a diet that is carbon-based, that is infused with the energy of the sunlight. Because that's what the bodies need. It needs that alkaline. And that's what the sun produces, alkaline. So once you have your inner universe mapped out, your outer universe is going to naturally go in the way that it's supposed to go. So that means at some point when you elevate, or when you become awoke, when your mind's eye is wide open at some point you was naturally gonna do things that you're supposed to do, like making your temple stronger, food wise, like partaking in the vegetarian diet, whatever. You have people who only eat fruit, who only eat leaves and things of that nature. You have some people, believe it or not, but those that know, they survive off only breathing air and sunlight. And their energy is vibrating at a high level too. So at the end of the day, once you understand how to manipulate the forces of nature and how to transmute the elements, the molecules that reside within your very body or that constitute the makeup of your very being, you have the power to do all things. But some people they just don't aspire to reach those type of heights. But at the end of the day, I can only be mindful of what I need to be mindful of and what I need to do in my daily life. That's why what me and this brother right here partaking in, it's a very needed thing in everybody's daily life, to learn how to meditate, to learn how to calm your thought vibrations in your mind. Because if you have your thought vibrations in your mind going high when you're thinking about, oh, how I'm gonna pay this bill, or what they doing down the street, the TV too loud, I wanted this going on, that going on. In most spiritual circles, but most predominantly in some philosophy specific, that's what you call monkey mind. So at the end of the day, when one learn how to slow down, you don't have to even stop immediately. Stop the vibrations immediately. Just slow your thought vibrations down to a level where you can become calm, till you can become still, and just let everything just fade away. And you will become at peace. You will become serene, and you will be able to reach the highest heights that you didn't even think that you can possibly reach here in this lifetime. But our ancient forebears, they put it out there. They put the science out there. That's what this brother doing right here. Right now, he's partaking in the plow position. Very powerful. So at the end of the day, they say as above, so below. Is it true? Is it falsified? Well, I can tell you it is true. We have many universes and many worlds that reside right within our core essence itself. A lot of the masters, they say you got to pay attention to your inner world, not your outer world. The outer world is only a reflection of your inner world. So if your inner world is in a state of pandemonium and constant disarray, then your outer world is going to reflect that same scenario. So you're going to find your outer situation in constant pandemonium and in disarray. That's a fact.
I heard everything he said. And that's the art of being able to do more than one thing at one time. You know, we're multidimensional. We are quantum. We are the quantum computer. You know, we have allowed ourselves to be duped and get into all these electronics and relying on phones and all these things to give us all the answers. But our forefathers could go inward, pull all the information they would ever need from the cosmos, from the stars. And I want to tell my ancestors, I want to tell my brothers and sisters, I want to tell everybody, let's stop being afraid of the dark. We are very melanated. We see that the mother, the universe, is a womb in which all things come out of. Stars, angels, everything comes out of. This is a feminine, or what they call a negative, but not a negative like situational negative, like the same type of negative you find in an electron, the same type of negative you find on a battery pole. It's the opposite of a positive pole. But now, psychologically, we have been conditioned to look at these things as a good and a bad, which really there's no such thing as good and bad. It's only experiences. We are gods. We are goddesses. We are all one. Everything exists all at the same time from the same source. So everything is one. There is no separation in anything. There's no separation between me and this brother, me and Mother Gaia, me and the bees and all the birds that are around, the flowers that are behind me, the house, There is no separation. And so as we come into this higher vibration, this higher study, this higher learning, we start to get back to the natural. We start to get back to nature. We start to get back to our true divine. The things that you see that me and the brother out here doing right now, this is how you calm yourself. This is how you get out of stress. This is how you become present. This is how you get out of the future and the past and the worries. You get right here. You get present. You close your eyes. You go inward. And then you can start to strengthen your imagination, because the imagination is the key. As a man thinketh, a man is. And that's woman and man, because man come out of woman, come out of the womb, come out of the mother, the mayat, the melanin. So this is what we're doing. We're moving energy. Right now, I'm creating a circuit through my imagination from Gaia, from the earth, pulling from her through my body, up through my chakras, through my crown, up into the heavens, to the stars, connecting with all that is, through my breath, bringing the energy back down through me and into Gaia, a symbolic relationship. Like the bees who fly around and they pollinate the plants, and they go from plant to plant and they form a symbolic relationship. They don't hurt anything, and then they go back to the hive and they create honey, natural honey. You know what I'm saying? So they help the process of symbiotic. They help Gaia. They're not a nuisance to Gaia. And that's what we don't never want to be, a nuisance to Gaia or a nuisance to ourselves, a nuisance to our brothers or sisters. We want to be in harmony with everything. This is what we got to get. This is what we're getting back to, because everything is changing. Gaia is healing, and so are we. I can remember just not too long ago where I just felt so bad about myself. I just was worrying about this and worrying about that. And then I got to the point, are you God or not? Is what I had to ask myself. And if you're God, then you know that you're God. God don't worry. And so we don't worry. We don't worry. We sit here, we meditate, we strengthen ourselves, we re-energize ourselves. We come out here in the grass and we get back into nature. We always, wonder, how is these brothers and sisters in Africa and the upper and lower, Kemet, how was they so strong, creating the pyramids, the Sphinx, and all the things that they was doing? Because they was into their higher selves. They was into spirituality more so than physicality. So I think it's a wrong teaching to think and teach everybody that you can have your cake and eat it too. Either you're a spiritual being or you're a physical being, or you're merging both. And there is a way to merge both, but you have to get the physical and physicality under control. We all have to start to learn how to master self, learn how to master urges, master our eating, master our breathing, master our sleeping, master, our emotions, master the rhythms of our heart, and as we master self, then the environment starts to metamorphosize around that, because it is waiting on us. It will only give you what you put out. Energy out equals energy in. Energy in equals energy out. It's a fair exchange. So you can't think that you're going to get all these wonderful and glorious things without putting in the work to get the glorious and wonderful things. And like the brother was saying, you have to do it in repetition. It's a practice. You understand? You are in school. You're in a university. And so, but guess who the teacher is? You. Only you can unlock yourself. Only I can unlock myself. I can remember a time I couldn't sit like this for a minute. You see? There was a time where I couldn't bend over and touch my toes. There was a time I couldn't do no half plow. But now I can through some practice. And if I'm even more consistent, I will start to levitate at some point. I will start to defy all the rules of gravity. Facts. We have no limitation. The only limitation is the limitation of the mind. So get out here and stretch the mind by stretching the body. Get out here and let's start to control our stomachs. I had just came off a great fast, and then I found myself, eating like a pig again. And then found myself gaining weight back fast. And I'm like, oh. So then I had to catch myself. Hold on, brother. You just taught yourself some discipline and you're turning around and not discipline yourself. So I had to catch myself, and get back into the pattern of discipline. And that's what we out here doing right now. You know what I mean? We setting these good patterns for ourselves. And people are watching, people are being inspired, to get out here, man, and get out here and start stretching, doing yoga, feeling good about themselves, getting out here in the sun. All these things are very, very, very important. Very important. Yoga man, you want to say anything else?
Well, I was just over just warming up a little bit. But well, the loosening up the limbs in your body is very important. It is very, very imperative that one begin to loosen the organs of the body. So when the organs of the body is loosened via the practices of yoga, martial arts, whatever philosophy you're into, once the elongating of the limbs is loose and become more limber, that means more energy flow and current is flowing more through your body. And also it helps unblock. Let me make myself clear. It helps unblock certain energy conduits in your body at various points of your body. It helps unblock the energy that's been blocked. When those energy centers or those energy points in your body is blocked and the energy is not circulating through your body the way it needs to be circulating through your body, that will cause ailments to occur in your body. It doesn't more or less have anything to do with diet. Because if that was the case, then you have people out here who partook in some of the most strict diets that some of the people in earth have concocted and came up with that done passed away versus a person who be eating pork and stuff all their life. Now, I don't partake in pork, anything like that. Just want to throw that out there. But a logical thinking person like me would be like, no, well, you know what, okay, all right, it is what it is. I don't go for those kind of things in a sense. Like right now, we right here in real time, right here in the neighborhood, in the front yard, doing what we doing. This right here is not pre-recorded, it's not scripted, none of that. We are still learning in the art of Hatha Yoga. We are only beginners. So, anybody viewing this, you can obviously see that we practice this. Brother doing everything he needs to do right. But is it really a right or a wrong way to do it? But at the end of the day, according to the asanas, that he's partaking in over here, the postures or the poses, you have 12, essential basic asanas in yoga philosophy. And when one partake in these asanas, this beautiful art form of connecting your inner self with everything around you in the universe via what you can't see, and also connecting you through energy vibration with people that's around you in the physical sense. Because the energy that you emit from your body, trust me, it is magnetic. Some people will draw to that. As a brother that used to teach, he used to always say that once that energy is activated from your body in the way that it needs to be, you emitting that light. He says it's kind of like a lighthouse at dawn when a boat get lost, or if a boat need to find its destination. He looked towards that lighthouse, and what it's doing, the lighthouse is what? Blinking light. It's emitting light. And it's like these many boats out here who might not be vibrating on that same level, but your vibration is strong enough for them to attract that. They're going to gravitate towards you. So it's very important that one be well versed in a lot of things, but at the end of the day, it's all about their energy. It's all about their energy. And so You have many forms of practices out there. You have people who have came up with their own style of yoga, and there's nothing wrong with that. So I can stretch, bend in any kind of way that I want. But the most important thing is my breathing has to be correct. So at the end of the day, that's the main thing to partake in, and that's dealing with pranayama yoga. So if you partaking in yoga, period, at some points you got to learn pranayama yoga because that's dealing with the breathing. You know, the wind tunnels, the wind channels of your body. You know, vasu, meaning wind. So at the end of the day, we breathe this very air, we breathe this very life force in our being on a daily basis. So it's essential for us to understand the proper way to breathe, the proper way to stand. You know, like you see how his spine is perpendicular to the gravitational pull of the earth, even when we were sitting down in the sitting position. That is very important. It's very important. Trust me. But then you want to have your spine to be flexible as possible, be loose as possible. It allows more energy and more fluid to flow through your body too. So it's very, very, very important. But the main thing of what we're doing is the strengthening of our very being, of our very core essence on every level. Trust me. Doing this particular sign, this particular process, this particular practice, it strengthens the body also. Trust me. Why you think great beings, great Mahatmas mean great beings, like Bruce Lee. He was so small. But you don't think not one time he didn't partake in yoga. He Bruce Lee, he studied that kind of philosophy. So those mathematics and that particular philosophy that he studied to have his body be trained as a weapon like that. But more so, it's not his body that was trained, it was his mind. You had to have that understanding of what he went through. It's not a offensive practice. It's a defensive practice. But it's also a spiritual practice for a man to understand his mind. You know, the common of the thought vibrations. To understand that once you in tune, once you channel this certain energy, you know, then you were able to have the ability to know how through discipline and training, the proper training, to know how to do certain things. And that is very, very powerful though. Trust me. So he was an avid meditator. And so there's many ways you can do this and do that though, but that is one of the most practiced ways since time immemorial that our ancient forebears, the great seers, the great sages, the great prophets, you know, of this universe, even in this time, you know, then you got the Dalai Lamas, you know, that's another respective title. Then you got the great Buddhas who have came, you know, in different times, in different points, in different universes, in different galaxies. They actually came from different universes, different galaxies. But they always had neophytes. Somebody who gonna carry the torch after they're gone. So at the end of the day, so we have been guided, you know, by the ancient ones. And a lot of people say, well, what have they gave y'all? They gave us this. They gave us dominion over the earth, over all things. And they gave us the understanding, the know-how to be able to govern over this dominion of the universe through natural law and science. Not that religious nonsense that's being widely propagated throughout the cosmos. You can't trick us. Those that know. But everything is positive. You know, at the end of the day, if people feel like they got to reach a different way and they got to die, go to heaven, or doesn't give whatever terms you want to use, then that's fine. And you want to believe in the physical hell, in the physical heaven, you got this man with his pitchfork running to and fro through earth. You got this God sitting on a throne in heaven. Where is heaven? It's not a physical location. Heaven and hell is a state of mind. Nothing more, nothing less. Period. When your thought vibrations is going crazy in your mind, you think about 1,000 things at one time, you was in a state of magma. Mental confusion, you don't know which route to go first, you don't know what to do, who to call, none of this right here. So right then, you have put yourself in a state of hell. That is a state of hell. In a state of confusion, agitation, negativity, that you can't function right, you can't think properly, you don't know what to do, you very indecisive, that's a state of hell. Because there's no way in hell that you can be at peace dealing with that type of mind state. Period. And these very practices, what we doing, that's what we doing right now to help us get out of that mind state.
I want to piggyback on something he was really just to bring the conversation full circle, that there are other tools that's out here to help, take us to another level. I want to talk about a little bit, uh, tools like diamond tree, DMT, the methyltryptamine, which is actually extruded from the pineal gland. This is the substance that basically takes you into your dream states at night, and takes you to where your third eye, your pineal gland, is active. Well, there are certain trees out here, such as the acacia, the mimosa hostilis, and these type of things that ancient shamans and our ancient ancestors used to use. The mushrooms, the penis envy, and all the different types of shrooms that you can use. These are technology vehicles. These are tools that are used to basically be able to put you on a higher vibration. And basically, because we have a lot of blocks. One thing that I will say about the food, the more heavier you are, the more dense you are, the harder it is for you to receive light codes, harder for you to receive information through the stars, harder for you to keep your organs clean, and all these things. These things help with enlightenment. These things help with energy flow. It's just like a wire. The more resistance the wire has, the slower the energy moves through the conductor. And so the more dense we are, the more resistance we have to change, the more resistance we have to energy flow, the more resistance we have to advanced consciousness and expansion, the slower that we will evolve as a species. And you have what's called unity conscious. You have what's called collective consciousness or collective construct. So we all share information via biologically, via through the grid, the unified field. We all share a collective consciousness, and so we have to be very careful what we put in our brains and what we put, in our essence, in our aura, because what this does, it adds to the collection of what other people can draw from energetically and put in their field. And so as you begin to put a lot of garbage in the field, garbage in, garbage out, and a lot of times we only have nothing but a lot of negative vibrations, attitudes, thoughts to even, to utilize. But the more and more of us that come into the light of understanding, the light of change within ourselves, the more and more we put the power of goodness out here, the more and more of those type of thoughts that people can share and utilize for themselves. So it's all about healing, man. It's all about healing. Crystals are another thing that we can utilize. Today I just went and bought me a nice Motivite crystal. And man, as I touched that crystal and started to rub that crystal, man, I felt sensations going on up in my pineal gland, in the back of my head, all kind of places. I started feeling these sensations of energy. Other things, certain roots and herbs. This brother gave me, I went down to South Carolina the other day and was able to get some herbs, some changa and some other herbs, crown chakra herbs and things that I mixed, and I made a tea this morning. And man, that thing had me vibrating so nice. My meditation was superb. And it really inspired me to even want to film this today and get out here and show y'all a little bit of yoga, show you a little bit of what we do on almost a daily basis to clear our energy and to recharge, because we're like batteries, we're energy. We need to recharge, and these are the ways that we recharge. So that's what this thing is all about, man. It's about us recharging. Now, hold on, brother. One thing this is entitled to do is to help everybody to heal, recharge, and that's what we're doing, man. We're not gonna hold y'all up all night. We out here, man, vibrating. We hear the birds, they singing. The sun is shining bright. It feels great. We out here doing what we doing. We formed a symbiotic relationship with the bugs, so they show is biting. You know what I mean? And with the grass, and with the cannabis. I'm not opposed to the cannabis. It is a natural thing. So I found, I formed a relationship with it. It helps me with my meditation and these type of things. And that's it, man. We're gonna close out pretty soon. I'm gonna let the brother say something else. And hold on, brother, we filming. Hold on, we filming. I'm gonna let the brother Yoga Man close us on out and say a little bit of things before we go. And that's how we doing it.
Yeah, I want to just say that for all those who are practitioners of yoga philosophy, Kemetic science, you know, the science and laws of nature, period, in general, stick to the course. Trust me. Don't let nobody deviate you from the natural order of things. Because once you do that, you have went outside yourself. You have become astray. You have become lost. Now you have to remember yourself all over again, and then you have to come out of that process of being programmed. It's very hard to come out of that process once somebody been programmed. And when something has been repeatedly, you know, embedded in your head that this is right and this is wrong. Now, however, I'm not saying that yoga is right and everything else is wrong. Semantics at its best. But at the end of the day, what I'm saying is, according to the laws of nature, that is natural. That is something that has not been written in no book. A lot of the greats look towards nature to be able to imitate some of these yoga poses. That's a fact. That is a fact. So people have to understand that, you know, once you become in tune with your true and essential nature, once you really understand, overstand, and finally understand that you are simply being. There's no mystery God in the sky. None of that. That is nonsense. Those are fairy tales and fables created by certain factions to constantly have our people enslaved in the mind, to have us further away, to keep us away from our divine knowledge and principles. That is very key essential into us being able to be successful in this universe the way that they have it set up. Period. So stay focused, remain steadfast, try to practice right thought, right action, right speech, right principles, right judgment, right character. Try to study some of those things. Well, not study it, but most importantly, try to apply them in your life on a daily basis. Just be mindful of these. Just be mindful of these practices out here because they are very important building blocks into strengthening your spiritual nature as well as your physical nature, as well as your mind. Everything falls naturally upon the order. It's a systematic thing out here. But once you become in tune, you will finally see, for the most part, things transforming before your eyes in the way that it need to come together in a manner of, like, our paths cross naturally. We shall common together. And those who partake in these particular practices, you already know what I'm talking about. So I'm not going to preach to the choir. So at the end of the day, this right here, I don't want to say divine intervention, because then I would be carrying on the philosophy of those who think it's some kind of it person up there. But what I'm saying is that according to the laws of nature, there's no way that you can meet people that is on that level, that is in tune on your level in the spiritual sense, in the same practice that you practice in. Y'all have everything in common, but most importantly, you feel like you've been knowing him for years. That because you have been knowing that person for years in another life through the energy. Period. Our souls leave impressions of knowledge embedded in its very nature. So when it travels, via continual consciousness, because there is always a continuity of consciousness out here. When this water case is returned back to the element from which it was concocted from its very inception, the continuity of consciousness will always continue to go forth. And all the knowledge that it accumulated in this lifetime, it leaves impressions. So if it has to come back and materialize, in a different time inclined to continue these practices, to actually become that, you know, that person in that, you know, like go down in history as one of the great teachers, you know, it's very essential just to stay steadfast.
Well, we ain't gonna hold y'all up all day and all night. We're gonna close this out, man. Like I said, we here building, you know, and in real time showing, you know, the proofs of how, you know, you transmute energy, transmute yourself, and transmute Gaia. You know, so we're gonna close out. I am 12. I am 3. I am 1. And we over and out. 1.